Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. I'm super excited to still be guest designing for MFT stamps. I have this project and one more for you guys. I'm super thrilled to have this opportunity. So we're going to jump right into it here, and I'm starting off with the delightful deer dies, and I have cut those all out of just some Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. And I'm going to ink them up with a bunch of my distress inks here, starting off with Barn Door and Candied Apple to work on the little canary image. I'm doing all of them. I actually only end up using one of the deer, but I wasn't sure where I was going with this card when it started. I just knew that I wanted to choose these dies. I do lots of videos with Copic coloring and colored pencils and watercolors and things of that nature, but it's really fun to kind of get back to your basics and use your die cuts and just kind of build something out of white paper without the stamping and all that other fun stuff. So we're working on that today. Now I'm going to come in with the hickory smoke here and try and add a little bit of shading onto, I'm working on the antlers, pardon me. So I'm coming in with the walnut stain and then the hickory smoke just to try and darken it up a little bit. This was super fun and super easy. All the little pieces stayed inside of the paper relatively well, which always works out really nice because you don't have to try and hold on to those little tiny pieces and not rip them when they sit inside. Now we're coming in and working on the deer, and I'm coming in with the vintage photo, and then I'll use some walnut stain and gathered twigs over top just to add a little bit of depth to them. Initially I wanted to put like the two deer facing each other and put antlers on one and not on the other, and then once we get into the card and you see how we worked through that process, because it wasn't what I envisioned at the start, but it turned out really pretty and I love the card. So it's always nice to kind of see the process behind where somebody thinks they're going, and then where the card ends up and how they try and correct what wasn't working the way they wanted it to work instead of just starting all over again. And that's kind of what I did with this video. I left in the bits and pieces that I did that just don't work, and I'll explain that when we get there. So just finishing up the shading on them, and I do take a black marker to add the eyes to the deer and then color in the little noses and things. I'm just putting that back in its little hole so that it's there and I can find it when I need it. Initially I went in and I tried doing it with this hickory smoke, and it just wasn't dark enough, and I couldn't actually get it all the way onto the little dot, so it wasn't even worth pulling out my black distress ink pad. I just went in, this is a brush marker I had laying around. I picked it up ages ago when I was attempting to do brush lettering, and I'm still not very good at that, but it works really good for stuff like this. Now I've got Tomo Mono Multi, and I'm going to glue together our little deer here and then our canary as well, which we don't end up using. This is this is a silhouette pickup stick. Don't know if you can get these anymore from any brand, but I've had this since I bought my Cameo, which was like when they first came out, so that was a lot of years ago. But the pickup stick still works great, so I keep using it because I don't see the point in purchasing a new one when this one works perfectly fine. But it's just got like a little sticky piece at the end of it to help pick up those tiny little pieces. So once I got the antlers on, I add that little piece to his tail, and then I'm going to put on his little black nose. And that's it for him. I did fight with it a little bit. Those are tiny pieces, but it works really well to be able to have that little sticky part and just kind of dip it in. Now I'm going to put on her tail and then her little nose. I didn't put antlers on this deer. Like I said, I wanted it to be a boy and a girl at this point. Y'all saw the card at the start. There's not two deer on that card, so we know that things didn't go according to my plan. Putting together our little canary. Isn't they cute? I think this is the most adorable tiny little die cut in the entire world. And I fought to get this thing to stick together. I'm not sure if I stayed on screen for the entire time just because of how itty bitty it is, but I fought to put this thing together. This wing, like I'm fighting with it here, and then I'm gonna knock it off and have to start all over again. It was not. And I stuck a little bit of glue on the nose, and I'm see there. Did you see it? Did you see the wing fall off? Now I'm trying to put on that little black piece for his beak, and I gave up filming it. So now we're going to start on the watercoloring. So now I'm working on the background, and what I wanted was a really nice fade from a teal into a pink, into a yellow, and keep the colors really nice and light. Then I wanted to create some snowy hills and put a little tree in the background, and it was going to be absolutely adorable. But it doesn't work out that way. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat. He's playing with my son's backpack. That's fabulous. Anyway, so I'm starting off with our first layer of color here. I started with the yellow. Now I'm going to blend the pink into the yellow and then up into the white. It does look super bright and vivid. It's a lot softer once it dries out. Watercolors do tend to dry softer than they initially go on. But once I get that kind of the way I wanted it, I had a little trouble there, you can see, getting it to blend up into the white. But now we're going to come in and use a little bit of the cobalt teal and blend that down in. Then I set that off to the side and I let it dry naturally. I don't force dry it with a heat gun or anything, because as long as that paper is wet, the watercolor is moving, and it's wet until it feels room temperature. So when it's cool, it's still wet. I had a little hair on there that I had to fish off. So once that's all dry, I'm going to come in and put in a second coat on here just to brighten those colors up a little bit and make them a little bit more vivid. I still wanted them really soft and pastel-y. I just thought it needed a little bit more color to it, so that is what I did. So I'm going to put that yellow back on, and then a little bit more of the pink here, and then come in with that cobalt. It's called Cobalt Aquamarine, that teal color. It's actually from Stone Ground Paint Company. The other two are Quinacridone Coral and Nicolazzo Yellow, which were both from Daniel Smith. So we're just going to blend those out. You can see how much darker that teal looks. It does dry, like I said, a lot lighter. So now we're going to start into the catastrophe. So I wanted to put a tree on this, which I still think was a fantastic idea. So I was like, ooh, look, it looks really good. Now I'm going to pull all the tape off, and then I'm going to pull out the Surf and Turf die, because I figured that could make some really cute little hills to put on top of this. I'll die cut it out of some Neenah white cardstock. We'll kind of pop them up on top in layers, and then we'll tuck our little deer and our canary in there, and it'll be super cute. So I went and got these die cut, and then I pulled them all apart. The washi tape stuck really hard, which was odd, but anyway, I digress. I go to put all of these on top of the card front to see what it's going to look like, and I don't like it. It's not bad. I didn't paint the tree up high enough in order to have it look like the trunk was coming out of the hills as opposed to the branches. So that's kind of where my problem was. So I taped it back down, and I took a little bit of water and I started blending out the bottom of the tree trunk there just to give it a little bit of grounding. I did forget to film the tree. That was my fault. I forgot to press record. I apologize for that. So once I get that blended out, I decided, okay, let's put a little more grounding down here. It's no longer going to be a winter scene. It's going to be fall. So I put some green and some brown on the ground to give it a little bit of a hill and a little bit of, like I said, like some grounding. And I want it to be an outside, and it's supposed to be fall-esque. So your grass is turning a little brown and yellow, and you have some dirt showing, and so we do that. And I'm really happy with the way this turned out in the end, you guys. A lot of the time it's really fun to take these cards that aren't working the way I see them and manipulate and work them so that they are what I want. So now we're going to add, like I said, I digress. Hang on, I'll go back to that thought. Now we're going to add just a few leaves. So I'm going to put in some brownie green and some green and a little bit of orange to make it a little more fall, just to give the trees some leaves, but it's not like in full, summer green glory. Super cute, by the way. So like I said, I really love the way this card came out, and I really enjoy the challenge of not giving up on it, as opposed to, binning it, going to a completely different idea, or restarting and moving that tree up high, or cutting out my mistake. Well, it's not even necessarily a mistake. The part that I didn't personally care for, and just pawn it off like this is what I meant to do, because it's not. It's really nice. I really enjoy watching the videos where I get to see that kind of stuff, so that's why I like to leave that in every once in a while for you guys, so you can kind of see how I was like, nope, don't like that. Tape it back down and carry on. So once we get all of our leaves here painted on, I do let them dry a bit, and then I just take some water on my brush just to blend them out a little bit and kind of make them look a little bit fuzzier. So now I'm adding a little bit of an orangey color in there. And I think it looks so pretty. I'm so happy with the way this came out. So now I'm done with it. I'm happy with it. I'm super stoked. It turned out fantastic, even if it's nothing like I initially intended. I'm going to pop it in my stamp positioner here, and we're going to put a sentiment on. So I had to find a sentiment, because this card went from a winter card to a fall card. So I pulled out the Fall Friends stamp set that was released last month, I do believe, and I went with this sentiment that says, something about falling more in love with you. I don't have the card beside me right now, I apologize. But we're going to stamp that one right at the top, directly in the center. I'm going to use my MFT Extreme Black ink, and we're going to ink it up and stamp it twice. Super easy to do when you have them in a stamp positioner because it's in the exact same spot both times. These things are amazing. If you don't have one, you need one. All links to all of the products and stuff, you guys, will be in the description box below. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and you can check out my blog and my Instagram and find all the links to all of the products used down below. If you guys liked it, please give me a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate you guys subscribing. And if you have any questions, leave me a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye for now.